Hi, I'm Pat Freeman, and welcome to my garage. Today I'm going to change the oil on my 2015 BMW i8. If you own an i8, be sure to check with your dealer before you purchase oil, because they actually changed what kind of oil they use depending on model year. For my model year, and specifically early in 2015, they suggested the 0W30 BMW Long Life 01FE. Later in the model year, and more current vehicles, use a 0W20. Also picked up a cartridge filter with the instructions here on how to change what torque settings in order to set the torque wrench to in order to tighten everything up when I'm done. Now inside of this box there are a few pieces. You have your cartridge filter, hole on one end and nothing on the other. And there's a little bag in here that contains your O-rings and a new copper crush washer for putting on the end of your bolt that goes on the bottom of the oil pan, the drain plug. Now in order to gain access to the top of the engine, we'll lift the cover in the back, turn these two knobs to the left, just a quarter turn, lift it up and pull it out and set it off to the side. Next we'll take out this piece of insulation, and this is only a piece of styrofoam. And finally we want to release the 7 knurled knobs on the top of the engine. We'll put the knurled knobs inside the engine compartment here, or the trunk. And then we can lift up and pull out the aluminum engine cover. As you can see, there's a seal on here that keeps dust and any fumes, I guess, from the engine compartment out. And it's just thin aluminum, really not much to it. Here's the top of our engine. We should go ahead and loosen the oil cap. In order to help vent the top of the engine to make draining the oil easier. I'm going to be using my quick jacks and show you where I have to make sure that I touch the bottom of the car. And it's a little dirty. I do daily drive it. Just underneath here is a jack pad. That elongated looks like a piece of plastic coming down from the bottom of the car. That's the jack pad. There's one there and there's one in the back. And I want to make sure that my quick jack pads also line up with those pads. And for anyone who hasn't used a quick jack, I do like it. These are heavy, they're about 100 pounds a piece, but I'm able to connect my hydraulic lines up. And here's my pump and reservoir, and we'll show you how that works. Alright, I got my quick jacks positioned about where I want them. I just got to go ahead and push it under the car and get her jacked up. Alright, so now that we have our quick jack set, we're just going to press the up button and take it all the way up. Now that it's all the way up, we can hit the down button and release it until the side struts rest in the channels to prevent it from falling all the way down. Alright, so now that everything's locked into place and the pressure is off the system, we can see we got plenty of access underneath the i8. And it looks pretty cool when it's off the ground. Alright, so let's take a field trip underneath the BMW i8. So coming in from the back side, and there's your muffler, and just in front of that is your engine. BMW puts access panels that are open to make it really easy to see what you need to do to change your oil. So right here, that's your drain plug, and that's your filter. Alright, so while we're under here, we're going to use a few tools. The 17mm socket, I prefer a 6-point socket. That's to take the oil plug out. This T55, this is to take the drain plug out of the oil filter cartridge so we could drain it, and then this 32mm will unscrew the actual cartridge. Alright, so I positioned the camera around the left rear tire on the driver's side so you can see in the best angle I can possibly give you. Now I'm going to start with the drain plug with the 17mm socket. And this drain plug has a copper crush washer on it that I don't want to end up in my oil pan because I recycle my oil. So I'm going to try to keep a hold of that as I take the plug out so I don't drop it. Success! Cleaned up the drain plug, and I'll take this copper washer and dispose of it. Alright, I waited a few minutes and my oil's down to a simple trickle. I'm just going to put the drain plug in so I don't get any more oil on myself temporarily, so I can go ahead and get that filter off. Now this filter uses a T55 bit just to take the drain plug out of the bottom of the cartridge first. Got it started with the ratchet, but I'm going to go ahead and undo it by hand. I also have another oil pan ready. To prevent any splashing. While that's draining, I'm going to go ahead and undo my oil plug and let it drain the rest of the way. And these oil cartridge drain plugs are considered a replaceable item. In fact, BMW provides you with a replacement drain plug. I'm going to hold on to this one for right now because I want to be sure to cap the bottom of that cartridge before I go ahead and use the 32mm to spin the cartridge off of the engine. Alright, now we're going to take our 32mm socket and undo this filter cartridge. And there we are. Alright, now that we've got our oil filter and its plastic parts off of the car, we need to get this paper cartridge out of here. Now, when we pull, there's going to be oil flying. So, I learned my lesson last time I did this. Grab an oily rag, throw it in the bottom here, into a grocery bag, and then place the oil filter inside the grocery bag. And that way you don't splatter everything when you pull these two apart, because they're not going to come apart very easily. There we go. So now your oil filter is actually ready for disposal. Alright, this cartridge cap has some fingers on the inside which hold the filter, and has an O-ring and the drain plug. So we're going to remove the drain plug, and that's a disposal item. We don't really need to keep this. They supplied a new one for us. So there's the old drain plug, and here's the new one. There is an O-ring on this, so we're going to put a little bit of oil on that. And insert that back into the cartridge cap. Now there is a specific torque for this, so we'll do that after we're ready to go. And get this other O-ring off of here. And clean up the surface. And stretch this over and into place. And right before I seat it into its groove, I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on it. It's just easier to start when it's dry. Alright, that is ready to go. Finally, we're going to insert our filter into the cap until it clicks in place. That's ready to go. We'll just have to torque this. We're also going to make sure that we take our new crush washer and place that over top of our oil plug. Finally, we need to get our torque wrench settings. So we have 5 Newton meters and 25 Newton meters for the drain plug and the actual oil filter cartridge itself. Since our engine is the same as the Mini Cooper, taking a look at this website that'll tell me more about what my torque settings should be for this particular engine. It even says here the Cooper 1.5 liter 3-cylinder is 4.5 liters, although this takes 4 liters without any issue. And I'm seeing here the oil filter housing is 25 Newton meters, the oil filter housing oil drain plug is 5, and the oil pan drain plug is 20 Newton meters. They also break it down into pounds-feet as well. Alright, so using the numbers that I had there, the filter housing oil drain plug has 5 Newton meters or 3.7 pounds-feet or 44.5 inch-pounds. Well, I have an inch-pound gauge here. Yep, that's about 45 inch-pounds. Alright, everything looks like it drains pretty well under here, so let's go ahead and get this oil plug back in. We'll torque that afterward. Alright, so this oil filter has a hole, and we need to get that over a small port. So we need to give it a good push. In order to get it to seat into place. We can start our housing. Our torque wrench is set to 18.4 pounds-feet according to requirements. And that's our torque. Now I did also read that the proper way of seating this is to back it off 180 degrees and then re-torque it again. And there's the mild click of my cheap torque gun, torque wrench saying we've hit it. And finally, the torque setting of 14.8 pounds-feet on our drain plug should complete the work. There we are. Alright, now that we've done everything we need to do underneath the car and have done some cleanup, we'll go ahead and put her back on the ground. In order to do that, we have to jack the car up first and then release the struts that actually keep the car in the air on the quick jack. Okay, now we can go down. Just make sure I'm not going to rest on any of the hoses. And let it relax all the way to the ground. Alright, now that we're on the top side, we can go ahead, add our funnel. The heads on this engine are not very deep. So as you're pouring, you can pretty much see all the little metal parts that you're pouring onto. I remember when I changed this last time to go ahead and just hold the funnel and pour slowly so I didn't add too much oil too quickly. Stick a rag underneath our funnel so we don't drip oil all over our engine. Just clean our oil cap up a little bit. And now we could reassemble the top. Once again, our aluminum cover. We'll slide this into the 3 tabs in the back. Make sure that the holes look like they all line up, which they do. And then we could start spinning in the knurled knobs. Next, get our insulation piece. And then finally, the top cover. That also slides into 2 tabs. Internal locking nuts, and we're done with the back. Alright, now we're going to reset the oil life. And in order to do that, we don't press any pedal. We press the start-stop button. And then we press and hold the trip meter button in the lower left corner until the first service point text appears. So it's about 10 seconds. And there it says engine oil, 6,000, reset possible. Press the button again for 3 seconds and it'll ask if we want to reset. So it said reset. I'm going to press the button for a 3rd time for 3 seconds. Reset in progress. Reset successful. So engine oil needs to be changed in 11,000 miles.